I just had a chat with Rachel about the connective tissue article, and at the same time, then requested an article from her back to school lunchbox ideas. Welcome back, Rachel.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please give us some tips. What to put in your child's lunchbox that's healthy.
Right. I think we give our children too much bread, and we give them the bad bread. And I say the bad bread. Bad bread is store-bought bread. What it has in it is it has baker's yeast, which forces the bread to rise very quickly, and it comes with a lot of phytates. So if your child isn't having issues with bread now, there's a very good chance they'll have some issues a bit later. These phytates interfere with the gastrointestinal tract and can inhibit elimination. So they're incredibly disruptive in the gut. So you want to go with a really good quality bread. So I would select something like a sourdough. So I'm not saying don't delete bread, because bread, it's convenient.
Sure, but you would pick up the first symptom would probably be constipation in a child if
Absolutely.
they don't tolerate bread very well.
And skin rashes.
Right.
The skin, being the largest organ in the body, you'd be able to pick, often on the arms, they have bumps. Right. Just skin-colored bumps on the arms, or they can be red. But that could also be an issue with wheat. Mm-hmm. So you just need to keep an eye on your child. So a good quality sourdough, what happens with that is it's naturally fermented, and by the bread being fermented, it actually pre-digests the grains. So the bread is pre-digested before we even eat it. So that's a lot of holes that you see when you actually cut a loaf. Mm-hmm. If your child does have issues with wheat, then opt for a nice rye. You get good rye sourdoughs. So this is made with a little starter, and this starter and the dough together, it really has 3 ingredients in it. If you look at commercially bought bread, you find, as long as your arm, with conditioners and preservatives, anything to stop the mold and to keep it soft.
Right.
So you leave your rye bread, it's going to turn into a brick, and use it as a rolling pin, whatever you want. It's going to go hard because it's real food. Right. So we're looking at 3 ingredients, which is fantastic. So we're looking at like rye, water, salt. Great. And that's it. Mm-hmm. And that's the sort of bread you want to feed your child. And then another suggestion I think is to try and do an open sandwich when you're feeding, when you're creating a lunchbox. And you get these gorgeous bento boxes now with a whole load of compartments for your kids. So what you could do is you could just butter two slices of your rye, your sourdough, a nice thick grass-fed butter, or even hummus. If you don't want the dairy, a nice good quality hummus is just chickpeas and tahini and some salt and pepper. And then put those 2 pieces together. And then you leave it in there. And then in the other compartments, you create what you're going to fill the sandwich with. So if you had, last night you had chicken and no one ate the chicken breast, you can shred up the chicken breast. Right. Shred up some nice salad, lettuce leaves, tomato, spring onions, whatever your child likes, some of your favorite stuff, grated carrot and beetroot, wonderful to add to that pot. And you want to create the inside of the sandwich to be thicker than the actual slice of bread.
So the child makes that themselves?
It's fun. And then they can even take a photo of it, and you can have a little competition in your family to see who created the best sandwich. So what we're doing here is we want the filling, and we want the child to feel full. That's the most important thing. And at the same time still be healthy. So you're going to season this in this compartment, what you're going to put in. So you'll season it with some salt and pepper and some oil, and whatever veggies the child likes. And they end up eating more vegetables than they actually think. So when they get to school, they just open it up. They could use the lid of the lunchbox as the plate, take the one slice with the hummus, layer it all up, and then just bite into it. Right. And it
stops the bread going all soggy as well.
And not only that, it just prevents them eating, sourdough is a lot more expensive than commercially bought bread. So you're wanting the child to eat less bread, really, in the end. I mean, bread, it's not only about bread. You can give them a whole lunch without any bread at all. There's gorgeous crackers out at the moment, thanks to the Banting people, because they're creating really clean options for us now. So you can get some really decent crackers at commercial stores. Please, you'd need to read the labels to see that it's, you just want seeds, a bit of psyllium husk with some salt and pepper. And then this is just dried. It's either dried in a dehydrator or in the oven. You use that. You use any grass-fed bits of dry vorse or biltong as a filling as well, with some good quality nuts, a mixture of nuts. To make it fun, you can add some chopped fruit and create like a little fruit salad. You could even whip up some stiff cream, like a nice grass-fed cream.
So this is in addition to your filling?
Yes, this would be separate, because if you're going with a bento box, you've got little...
Right.
What we're trying to do when we feed kids is we're trying to, one, limit the amount of store-bought bread, and two, avoid the tuck shop, because there are no tuck shops that sell decent food. So you're wanting your child to really eat the good quality food at home. Now, lunch is a big meal, so I think there's a 10 o'clock break and there's a 12 o'clock break, depending on where your child goes to school. So they're going to need to be nourished. So, and you want them to have that feeling of feeling full, but then to also do all the five senses of taste. So they need a bit of sweet, they need a bit of sour and bitter. So we want to create that in their lunchbox. This shouldn't be difficult.
Well, the strawberries with the cream, that's a really lovely example. Because
Absolutely.
They're getting the fat from the cream and the fruit.
Yes, so we want filling, which is important. Again, you could have use a blob of hummus and then just cut some carrot and celery sticks and have that as an option as well.
And for snacks, for something sweet?
Well, obviously we've got the fruit. We could use the fruit.
But I mean, like a snack bar or something.
Absolutely.
Like that?
They're gorgeous little monkey and grizzly bars that you can buy. They're small, depending on the age of your kid. Look for a nice clean bar with a limited amount of ingredients in it. That's also a wonderful snack.
Would you recommend dried fruit?
It's a possibility, but go easy on it. And always add the nuts, because you don't want to throw up the blood sugar, and then the nuts will balance the sugar. So we want to keep, you always, include, again, if you're going to give them an apple, make sure there's some nuts in their lunchbox as well, so they're going to eat the apple and the nuts at the same time. And you teach them this.
What would you recommend that they drink other than obviously water?
Okay, you can dilute some fresh pressed juice. I know there are stores out there that do a nice cloudy apple juice, and you can put a little bit of apple juice and add some filtered water. There's other options of doing something like a ginger kefir water, which is wonderful. They absolutely adore that.
We're going to talk about kefir in a separate episode just now.
Yes, and that's it's almost like a soda. So it's got a natural fermenting process. And you could put that in a juice bottle as well.
Coconut water now, that's available in small little...
It's quite expensive though.
Yes, and it's also flavoured and things. So
so you'd need to be careful that it would just straight coconut water would be important. You need to watch for that. There are other healthy sippy yogurt alternatives as well that are grass-fed, that are flavoured. You could even do your own. So you could buy a really good quality grass-fed yogurt, and you could blend up some strawberries in there, or a bit of pineapple and banana, and you can have their own yogurt as well. Another good option is to send them to school with a smoothie combined. Depending if you don't have a bento box and you're just going to do the sandwich and a really powerful smoothie with that's nice and filling for them as well. That will take them all the way through. Because what happens is the child's eating the bread at lunch, and then you go home and they eat more bread. So there's just this overload of bread, and it's just absolutely unnecessary on a little human. We want to give them foods where they're going to concentrate. Often little kiddies or young adults have sport after school, so they're expected to sustain this energy for a long period of time. And that's when you've got good proteins combined with a decent amount of foliage, meaning the lettuce and the vegetables. You really got to encourage this. You really want them to eat that. Make the box bright. Use the rainbow. Create a beautiful, bright box of happiness, where the only way they can go is this is the only thing they want. And if you can do that, then you will avoid the tuck shops. There are other little lovely treats where you get coconut macaroons and a load of other options.
I think we're going to have to buy the January issue of Natural Medicine magazine to read your article.
Absolutely.
And learn how to make a happy box, happy, colourful rainbow box.
Great.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you. Thanks.